We are very privileged to have with us Dr. Arun Singh, Global Chief Economist, Dun& Bradstreet. Arun will tell us a little bit about the budget expectations from Dun& Bradstreet's side, and what we can look forward to the this year's budget. Arun, 2020 was an unprecedented year, as we all know, and everybody is looking at India's budget. So, what do you think are the key factor that will influence this year's budget when the finance minister is coming out on 1st of February?
So, I think you mentioned one word, and that's synonymous with the pandemic 2020, COVID-19. Uh, what do you call year of pandemic, and it's one word. You've mentioned that, and in fact, since March, this has been mentioned multiple times, and if not daily, in the various wider forum, is unprecedented. And if you look at the background, that's justified because that background started with the COVID-19 hitting a health sector of a country, the masses, unorganized sectors, MSMEs, job losses, unemployment gone up, then eventually disturbed the consumption, investment, demand, and things was basically very, very odd for many of us, and what do you call many learnings. And today we're talking about a next normal, new normal, things like that. And that was the basically what I can say, the fall of an economic cycle. Now today we have reached where there is basically hope for economic recovery is in line, and vaccine, government support, and private investment coming in, demand coming in, and then recovery. We're back to basically pre-COVID era. That's the expectation happening. Now, in this, I think government have to look at all those factors where basically got impacted most, and given the fact that this is um, what we call era of not economic shock. This is basically outside economic shock, and given that background, it's a apt that this year budget should take care of those area, those elements got impacted most. Basically, your infrastructure sector, your MSME sectors, your healthcare sectors, to ensure that the job losses are not entrenched. That has to be contained as soon as possible. I think with that background, our finance minister have already mentioned that this year budget will be like never before, which is rightly said that if we have unprecedented circumstances, which means the measures and budget has to be unconventional, and it has to be basically focusing on certain area got maximum impact, and the recovery as soon as possible, because as a government and as a masses we cannot afford to delay the recovery process. So those are the factors I think government will keep in mind when they are framing and announcing the budget on the 1st February.
You mentioned some of the sectors. So, what would be those 3, 4 critical areas that you see that the government would prioritize the term in terms of the expenditure allocation in this budget?
So one thing I think there's very clear understanding and learning, uh, not just from India and from the all over the world, that two things cannot work together. That heavy lifting from the government side in terms of the investment and putting more money into the productive sector of the economy, or overall sector of the economy in general. At the same time, trying to manage the fiscal deficit, try to have a path of the fiscal consolidation. Two things never work together, and you need to reach out to some consensus where you have to believe that putting more money into the economy will certainly disturb your fiscal maths, and rightly so. But at the same time, you have to be confident that putting those money will come back once economic recover and the tax economy shorten, or your GST collection goes up and your tax collection goes up. So that will basically all the investment coming in today will come back to the government in the form of higher return. With that background, I think there are two set of investment required. One, the productive sectors, where with the forward and backward linkages create a multiple impact on the economy so as recovery is faster and the shock can be absorbed. And the second, there is a wider investment requirement where you are trying to address the ongoing problem in the economy. So that ongoing problem in the economy is basically, as per the budget allocation plan, government will continue to do that, and talk about sectoral allocation, agriculture, talk about other industry sectors and other schemes. They will continue to do that. But unconventional unconventional measures toward some of the sectors will be the infrastructure sectors, MSME, and healthcare. Why I'm saying this is the productive and why this is critical, that the pandemic is a third shock in very short period of time to the MSME sector, infrastructure sector, and not just India, abroad. Pandemic hit the global country, but for India, this is the third. The first one, demonetization, that was hitting the MSME and infrastructure sector because of the unorganized nature. The second, we had a GST implementation. That was again because of the unorganized sector. The MSME got hit maximum. Now, this pandemic again hit the unorganized sector because, in spite of the Digital India initiative, I think this sector, the adoption rate of the Digital India was very, very low. And though a large company managed to work from home, this sector unfortunately struggled and had a major impact. And this is precisely the point when pandemic will unfold, when recovery will start. This is the sector where maximum bankruptcy is expected, and that's what basically the government job, to ensure that that's are contained, that's are basically ensure that people are not troubled in the MSME sector. So investment in the infrastructure, it's all because of forward and backward linkages and organized nature of that will certainly help sector. And we need unconventional investment route by looking at various sources of funding to ensure that government put extra effort, extra money as compared to the previous year, so as at least that sector is taken care of. Unconventional measures.
That you're thinking, what are the sources that you're thinking is available to the government, and to raise this kind of expenses and this kind of infrastructure investments that you're looking at? So what would be the sources that is available in today's day and age?
So there are basically 3-4 sources government can look at. One, printing money or going abroad, look at what's happening that. Now, printing money and going abroad will ensure two things. One, you are not creating a fund crunch within the economy, so as basically that's available for the private sector and the state government sector. And at the same time, you're taking advantage of lower interest rate in some of the markets outside India. So the fund is available, and that fund is outside India, and that fund is basically creating a space for inside stakeholders. So it's a gain at a both end. Printing money and monetizing of the asset is basically another area where government can look at, and they have to look at in a way, because when we talk about printing money and borrowing from oversight, if they're putting it for the consumption, that will create inflationary pressure in the economy, which means that funding has to be in the capital sector, capital expenditure or infrastructure sector, where you can measure the ROI. And that's good, because you're putting money, it will not going to create inflationary pressure in the economy. At the same time, you have a fund available, you're pushing into the infrastructure sector and economy revive. So that's one thing. And as I said, that there should not be worry about fiscal deficit problem, because fortunately, India today, as compared to many economies in the world, in a better place in terms of external debt, better place in terms of fiscal deficit, which means we have a scope to even deteriorate further in terms of fiscal arithmetic, because at this point of time they need a fund. Now, the second in fact, third source, what they should look at, the rationalization of some of the central or centrally sponsored schemes. We know that there are a lot of schemes uh, where ROI is basically delayed, is not monitored based, not working, still government putting money. I think there is indication from various body, and I think that will be rationalized. That will free up some of fund parked for the scheme for a rest of the economy. That's one thing. Now, historically, we have not seen privatization getting a big push. I think this is a time where the economic implication is much larger than the social implications. So I think government should look at without worrying for the social implication of the privatization. They should go ahead with the more aggressive plan for the privatization and the disinvestment, because that will give a two benefit. One, you're getting a fund to fund your most productive sector. Second, you're creating a productivity and efficiency improvement in those economy where you feel is not appropriate. And basically, the fourth could be what you call the blueprint for monetizing of some of the infrastructure asset, putting money into the national infrastructure pipeline. These are the 4, 5 areas where government can source their fund uh, uh, without creating excess trouble for the inside stakeholder, let's say state government or the private investor.
Wanted to understand, you spoke about the privatization of the sector and government should look at. So any particular sector that you're looking, that you're thinking that, privatization will help to, benefit that sector more? So any particular sector you have in mind?
So I think there are many sector government should look at. I mean, the metrics has to be driven by basically the efficiency and the productivity, and that's only two parameter. Economically, if you ask anyone, where you need to have a sustainable growth going forward, these two parameters should be the base for deciding many areas, whether the sector is productive, the company is productive, and that sector is lucrative enough, whether we have an efficient system to ensure that we get a maximum ROI. I think government have shown interest in some of, for example, airline, but they're trying to do this one. Now the banking space, if you see last year, there's a merger and stuff happened. But to be very honest, I think that's a space we need where government should focus more of energy and timeline, because the more and more effort you are putting into the privatizing those sectors where these two benefit can be derived, I think can give a maximum sustainable growth to the economy. So I think banking and what pending privatization sectors should be taken up the priority.
Arun, I want to talk a little bit about the agriculture and the rural sector, because a lot is happening at the farmers' level, agriculture sector, rural sector. What is your expectation from this year's union budget on agriculture and rural sector? What would give them, the lift that is required?
So I think that's a good question, because I'll tell you there's a two strong reason for that. One, the agriculture sector historically is troubled sector, and the contribution to the GDP is coming down drastically, and it used to be one of the larger contribution in one point of time. Unfortunately, it's not about agriculture. The other sector picked up faster, but agriculture stayed there because the focus was not there. And the second thing is that during the pandemic days, most of the people went back to their hometown, and basically the reverse migration happened. Labor from the cities went to the rural, and what we call the concept of these guys, unemployment, and that's gone up. That's basically created a pain. And the third element is basically the new agricultural policy which the government is trying to implement. And given all that stuff, I think this is the right time for government and the various other stakeholders to come together to ensure that the agriculture sectors get the maximum attention. And so has come back to the mainstream of the economy, and this budget could be one of the vehicle to take the things forward. I think off budget there are a lot of initiatives taken by the government. I think it's good way of addressing those problems. But I think this budget can be. There are many areas which I feel that there has to be a comprehensive procurement policy. Government should come up to ensure that you know what you call that procurement policy on whether it's a particular crop, particular area, particular state, or whether it's a guaranteed procurement of some specified amount of crop. Something has to be mentioned in that, so as at least that benefit goes to the larger audience set. Historically, we have seen there's been crop damage case in India, and rightly so, because you have a earthquake, we have a flood, we have a drought. The more rain is another problem, less rain is another problem. That's a special distribution of rain is also creating an issue, and the crop insurance scheme should be given a maximum push into this budget. In this budget, I think. I was talking about some of the schemes rolling back, but one scheme I think should get a maximum focus, the cash subsidy to the farmer, because I think they need at this point of time. And the fourth area, which I believe, what I can say, the government has started few years back, but I can't see much traction. And now COVID-19 have taught us that government should emphasize those initiatives, what we call the urbanization. It's basically how we can convert some of the rural segment into the urban area, and that will basically create a maximum non-farm employment opportunity, because the people who went to the rural sector during the COVID-19, not all will come back to the industry in a near future because of the various reasoning until the economy come back to the normal. So what about those people who went back to the agriculture sector? They should be given a maximum focus. I think February 2016 we had Urban Mission launched. We need more money to put in that. I think this budget is a great option for that. I think this 4-5 initiative, I believe, should get a maximum traction for agriculture sector to revive.
So Arun, we spoke about how important is infrastructure spend and infrastructure, and even we spoke about the BFSI sector and the privatization. But if I really focus on the MSME sector, so what are the 5 things that you think we can expect from budget, especially meant for the MSME sector?
So, I mean, in DNB, we're aware that last 20 years we are in constant engagement with MSME community. We reached out to them year after year, sometime every quarter in a year we reach out to them, we ask them, we basically try to understand what are the issues they face, what are the challenges they face, and why they are not able to grow from what you call micro to small, from small to medium, from medium to large. Basically, the transition what's happening in rest of the world, or mostly in the developed economy, that transition is missing in India, because the challenges what we have seen, there are many challenges, they say. I mean, last 20 years there's a library of challenges we have created, but couple of challenges stayed constant. One of that is basically access to the fund, access to finance. Either they don't have fund available from the organized sector, and then they rely on the unorganized sector, so as the cost of funding is very high, or they don't go to the organized sector because they're afraid about the collateral and other stuff. So that's the problem. And second, it comes around the market access. Market access is basically, they know their product, but they don't know where to sell and how to sell. So that's basically stuff which I think government tried to address, and this budget is a great opportunity. Why? Because there's a background, I just said initially. The MSME sector is the first sector got a maximum impact. It's not because they're designed in a way, it's because 94% of MSME sectors are unorganized, and various statistics suggest that just 2 to 3% of those guys, those companies are digitally inclined. And with the pandemic, work from home guidelines, there was the maximum impact. The job losses was very high. The bankruptcy is going to be very high. So that I think that things needs to be addressed, and that was the background. So the expectation from the budget is basically, you said that 4 5 things. So one is of course the collateral free loan. I think there's a limit up to 2 crore, but I think that has to go up, and more than that, and that will address both things. That will also address the interest rates. That will also address the organized sector lending loan to the MSME, and as well as there's a collateral free. Some amount has to be fixed because today the loss is unconventional. So the policy has to be unconventional to support that. So that's one thing. The second thing is that the strengthening of value chain of MSME. Why I will tell you that, that's again create a opportunity for the MSME in a overall global value chain. When Make in India initiative was launched a few years back, we always thinking that how that could be a successful. Government have achieved success rate in the defense sector to some extent, but rest of the other sectors have not done great job. The pandemic have given opportunity, for the some of the sectors. I was just talking earlier this week. The some of the sector was basically the blessing in disguise, and the blessing in disguise in the sense they got a maximum opportunity from this one, and that's exactly the things happening because most of the global company, they're trying to realign their basis and trying to come back to the most secure where the demand is there. And I think we need to create that ecosystem where Indian MSME can get the maximum benefit of that when the global companies look at the realignment of their value chain or supply chain, stuff like that, which means there has to be initiative, there has to be a incentive to MSME to put money into the research and development so as they can increase the competitiveness. So I think research and development has to be the third area from the government side where they can provide incentive for company who can basically create intellectual property, can put more money into this one, who can basically most competitive. So that was the third thing. The fourth thing, saying that how during this supply chain crisis, the realignment things happening in that how government can basically provide opportunity to MSME by creating an information base. If today company can access the potential buyer, potential customer, potential vendor through various channels, through various platforms, through various mechanism, I think that could be great. I think that tying up with the third party or creating an enabling environment within the system, that how third party can partner with the government and MSME to help, that they can help connect to their party outside country, outside their domain. That could be a great opportunity for MSME because that can bridge the gap of what you can say the consistently challenge area on the access to the market. That's a fourth thing. The fifth thing, which is burning issue and not been resolved at least for many years, is the skilling requirement. And this skilling requirement will change with the pandemic. Earlier it used to be the technical requirement. Earlier it used to be a most technical stuff and maybe high end of IT, because high end of IT will be basically driven through if you're taking care of the higher end of information technology or computer science and other stuff. That is to be the focus, and more from the technical side of the machinery stuff. That was the basically skilling requirement. The pandemic has taught that even the basic use of the digital skills and computer, laptop, connectivity, that was missing from the larger set of the employee base, from the larger set of company base. And that's precisely the point I'm saying. The 94% are unorganized sectors than MSME, and on top of that only 2% people are willing to go digital. There's a huge opportunity. That opportunity will not be tapped by giving them a high-end IT course, because high-end IT course is pertaining to some section within the MSME. They need a basic information of computer, basic need of the digital skills to ensure that they're digitally connected. So I think these are the 4 or 5 things I'm expecting for MSME sectors during this budget time.
So we can happily say that this budget will have a lot of focus on the MSME sector and the agriculture sector, and we can hope that it will bring a lot of positivity to this sector. Can we say that, Arun?
So certainly, and I'll basically that point, that expectation and that a hope is justified by the fact that finance minister herself said that this year budget will be never like before, which means the finance minister herself saying that this budget will bring a lot of new things which have never seen. That's one thing. Second scenario is like once in a day, once in a century we have seen the COVID pandemic, and then impact on the economy is again we have never seen such a drastic decline in our GDP growth rate or most of the other segment. So it has to be, and I think your and my hope and expectation is valid.
Yeah, and I think, with the vaccine getting rolled out, and, we can only hope for a great 2021. And thank you so much, Dr. Singh, for giving a lot of insight to our viewers. I hope you like it, and we would certainly, come back to you with, more on the budget after the budget, when we'll have Dr. Singh and some of the other guests, and, we will talk about, what is the impact of the budget. Thank you so much, and thanks for watching.
Okay, thank you.